hear a lot about like become fluent in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 3 months. What does this really mean to become fluent, for example, in 3 months? What does that look like?
I don't know actually. The a non-professional reading of the term fluent implies a lot of things, whereas if you're a language professional, fluency only really refers to how quickly you
Hmm.
speak and how smoothly you speak. So the amount of pauses, are those pauses natural? Are you
Hmm.
stammering? Are you searching for words? That's what the technical sort of professional definition of fluency is. But these things are marketed toward people
Hmm.
who are not language professionals. So when someone says I'm fluent in Spanish and they're not a language professional, that just means that they in their
Yeah.
estimation, because they're self-reporting, they speak it well enough to communicate.
Okay.
So if we think well enough to communicate, if we think about our common language
Hmm.
scales, right? So let's start with the
Hmm.
ACTFL scale. Well enough to communicate starts, in my opinion, at what's called
Hmm.
intermediate high. And if you Google the ACTFL guidelines, it'll explain them to you. But intermediate high is someone who can, tell a little story. They can give you some instructions. They can have a casual conversation with you, starting about intermediate high. If the US government uses the ILR scale, I would say true communication starts at
Hmm.
about level 2 on that scale. And then if we're talking Sepher, I don't have as much experience with Sepher, but from what I understand and, research this listeners, but I believe the idea of true communication starts
Hmm.
at B1, B as in
Hmm.
Bravo, B1, right? So can you achieve intermediate high slash two slash B1 in 30
No.
days? No,
No.
not in my estimation. Those would have to be a hardcore 30
Yeah.
days where you are doing language like every day, 8 hours a
Yeah.
day, 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. So that's 24 hours a week times 12,
Hmm.
right? So 4 weeks in a month. What's 24 times 12? So 2 times 24 is 48. 10 times is 240. So what's that, about
Hmm.
288? Check my math. Let's say it's
Hmm.
about 300 hours. If you were doing Spanish or French, something that's sort of has the same alphabet, has
Right.
a lot of cognates to it, or a less commonly taught language like Norwegian or Dutch, which is
Hmm.
very closely related to English, you could achieve intermediate status, maybe like 1+ish on the ILR, of
Hmm.
A2 on the Sepher scale. You could
Okay.
achieve. Is that fluent in layman's terms or non-professional terms? It's just short of it. So I would take a lot of commercial language learning claims with a
Okay.
grain of
Good. Good.
salt. I will say that if you lean in hard, you can become fluent. Again, in the non-professional sense, you can become fluent relatively quickly in some languages. Now, if you're learning a language that's more distant from English, like Arabic, which uses a different alphabet, a different grammatical system, very different grammatical system, you're learning something like Chinese, going to have to spend extra time invested in the writing system in order to, be able to read things. I don't know if that 3 month claim would hold. I think it'd probably be closer to
Okay.
6. Again, me, you can do it 4 hours a day. So I would take commercial language learning timelines with a grain of salt.